This video just provides a brief walkthrough of how to carry out the independent samples t-test using SPSS. This is the same analysis that's carried out in my other videos and in the PowerPoint. So this is just more of illustrating using the interface more than anything else. So in my other videos and in the PowerPoint illustrations, I have an SPSS data file with two variables included. The first variable being gender, which is a dichotomous variable with levels or codes of 1 and 2, 1 for male, 2 for female, and support for capital punishment. And so this variable is being treated as an interval variable. So if we go under variable view, you'll notice that gender is set in terms of the values 1 and 2. You can see it's a nominal variable, and actually the support for capital punishment should be set to scale because a scale variable is representing either interval or ratio level data. So at any rate, what we'll do is to carry out the basic independent samples t-test. And by the way, so this is person 1, that person's gender, score on support for capital punishment. Person 2, gender, male, score on support for capital punishment. Person 14, it's a female, that's a score on support for capital punishment, and so forth. So to carry out the basic independent samples t-test, we just go to Analyze, go to Compare Means, and Independent Samples t-test right here. We'll put gender, which is our categorical variable, into the grouping variable box and click on Define Groups. Here, for group 1, the code is 1, and then for group 2, the code is 2. I could have used other codes just as easily. I could have used 0 and 1 or 50 and 12. Anything along those lines. I just would need those values to be represented here if that was the case. But most of the time, when I have a dichotomous variable, I'll either use 1 and 2 for groups 1 and 2, obviously, or 0 and 1. So at any rate, our user specified values are 1 and 2. I'm going to click on Continue and then move my support for capital punishment variable over to the test variables box, and then click on OK. And so now you'll see that we have the males and females. We had 10 people in each of those groups. The mean for males was 5.3, mean for females was 7.7. You have the standard deviations for the support for capital punishment variable as well, and so forth. So you can see that so the means and standard deviations are referring to the group means and standard deviations on support for capital punishment. You can see that for our independent samples t-test output, you can see that we have Levine's test for equality of variances, and so I discussed this a little bit more in my other video about what this means. Basically, this is an assumption of the standard independent samples t-test. So in other words, if the variances of the two groups on support for capital punishment are not equal, then we wouldn't want to use it to interpret these t-test results. We would want to interpret these t-test results in the second row. But at any rate, you can see we have our t-values, degrees of freedom, p-values that are associated with the test, the actual mean difference, and so forth. Like I said, the main point behind this was just to highlight the general procedure for carrying out the independent samples t-test. Once again, Analyze, Compare Means, Independent Samples t-test. You put your dichotomous categorical variable into the grouping variables box. Make sure that you list the values associated with those two levels down here. Click on Continue, put your dependent variable into the test variables box, click on OK, and there you go.